the final matchup at the 2025 Division III College Championships. It's the men's final coming at you. The number 4 seed Lewis and Clark Bacchus take on the number 5 seed Middlebury Pranksters. What a matchup we got for you in this final. Beautiful Burlington, Washington, the site of this event. Theo Wan here with Kelsey Percy and Danny Proby. Kelsey, this is a rematch of pool play where we saw Middlebury come out on top.
Middlebury just was dominant in that game. Both very athletic teams, and a team with a history too, right? We've seen lots of these matchups before, last 3 consecutive years.
Apparently, everything going Middlebury's way. Their semi-final dominance over Davenport made them feel really confident going into this game. That tight, relentless person defense was incredible.
To be able to take down the number 1 seed the way they did, certainly Davenport tried to put a charge at the end, but Middlebury able to come out on top, advance on the top side of the bracket, whereas Lewis and Clark, they had a bit of a lead there on Carleton Chop, let them back in, able to squeak out the victory with a break at the end, winning 15-13. This Middlebury side had a lot of fans cheering for them in their win over Davenport.
You can see all the pink in the audience. This is their thick sidelines, energy's high. We saw that play into the final just earlier in the women's with Haverford Bryn Mawr fighting their way back in. But these are teams that are able to make big highlight plays. It's going to be electric.
We saw a little bit of an impact where Middlebury had the fans on their home side cheering for them. It got into the heads of Davenport a little bit, and we're going to see that on display again in this final matchup.
For Lewis and Clark, they're from the Pacific Northwest out of Portland, Oregon. So certainly perhaps have that home field advantage knowing the conditions.
Loved that huge D by Prairie. Rookie at Carleton had his moment, but Lewis and Clark fought through the pressure. We're able to finish it off. That look by Farley, poise, possession, notching their spot to the finals.
Someone that you'll see play a big role in Lewis and Clark's run to a championship is Max Zwerin, a captain on this team, 5th year on the squad, all region a couple times. Look at the goal, stat sheet, and the blocks, but he also takes on a lot of defensive matchups as well. So Max Zwerin going to be a big part of this Lewis and Clark side. Intense
athlete, and you'll notice from that stat line, huge double-digit number of goals, over 20, only 3 turns. This is a finisher for this Bacchus team. An absolute athlete, and an athlete on a team that features varsity D3 soccer players and more than one of them.
Only having 3 turns in a tournament like this, where all the games are super scrappy, the weather the way it is, shows you that not only it's a big playmaker, Zwerin is also able to keep that mental game in check when the moments get big.
Star players aplenty in this contest. Louis Duville Bodwin, LDB we're going to call him throughout the broadcast. A lefty gunslinger, can play both ways for this Middlebury side. It's going to be a catalyst if they're to be successful and win another title to put into their trophy case.
Theo, you hit on those lefties. Someone who was able to put up some goals, just right place, right time, an absolute glue player. But that left-handed flick, the ability to carve around the edges when a defense thinks they've sealed play, it's still open for this Middlebury team, and the cutters downfield know it.
Yeah, their ability to move the disc super quickly, especially in end zone, has absolutely stunted other teams' defenses all tournament long.
Lineups being called here by our PA announcer as the teams line up ready for this final. Stands continue to be packed as this is the final matchup. There are no other games, folks. This is it. And the 2 teams ready to score off for a title. What's at stake? A first title for Lewis and Clark. This is the furthest they've ever made at the D3 championships, last coming in 3rd in 2016. Middlebury's last title coming in 2019. They've made a few semifinals appearances since then, but have yet to taste the gold since that year. of 2019.
You know, Theo, something that we've seen is a team that's never been here to the big show, that hasn't been in this game, in these high stakes. It can be tough. You can get into positions where you maybe don't have that poise. There's an inner, mentality, a calmness that players that have been tested and tested again can tap into.
And both teams did say that a lot of the feelings they're having this morning over breakfast is nerves. They're feeling a little bit anxious, they're feeling nervous, and it's no surprise. This is the biggest stage for a lot of these athletes ever, and for some of these teams for the first time ever as well. But nerves, as you and I both said before, we're talking about our coaching background, nerves are just excitement, nerves are just your body getting ready, nerves are going to manifest in layout blocks, in big skies, if you can just take the right mental approach to it.
Yeah. Nerves are just energy. Nerves don't control you. It means that you care.
The matchup history for these squads, the last three straight college championships, Middlebury has defeated this Lewis and Clark side, including in pool play. That went the way of the Pranksters by a score of 15-9. And certainly both teams have learned lessons from that game. They have played a few contests since then, of course. Lewis and Clark really had to fight through the gauntlet coming through pre-quarters to get here.
You know, Theo, a perfect record is only perfect until it isn't. Could this be that game?
Now throw the perfect record out the door. This is one matchup. It's the final. Doesn't matter how many games you lost before then. You could have been the third seed in pools, but you still have a shot at the championship. For Lewis and Clark, they were second in their pool grouping, defeating Wesleyan 15-12 and Hillsdale 15-6 before winning in pre-quarters 15-8 over the Missouri S&T squad.
Something that's going to be interesting, though, Theo, both these teams typically are more athletic than the opponents they play against. Typically faster than the opponents they play against. Here in this matchup, who comes out on top?
LDB set to pull for this team. Peter Mans, who'll be playing a lot of offense, in with Nadav Melamed and Oscar DeSwan Aarons out here on defense to start this game. Standard O-line for Bacchus as Charlie Wagner will get things going, finding Sam London. Peter Mans drawing the Max Zwerin matchup. London trying to shake free. Great defense so far. Topher Olsen, they are going to call a foul on DeVille Bodwin.
I think I knocked you earlier. We were playing physical. I don't think you saw rotation. Okay. I think we just see.
Okay. You want to play a contest or you want to bring it to me?
I'm okay with the contest. I'll be happy going here.
Okay. The observer ruling, that was a strip foul. This is going to stay with white here. Play will restart with a defensive check on the disc.
We like that. Both players present their opinion, wrap it up quickly, play will resume.
Zwerin big under on Peter Mans. Leading goal scorer for this Lewis and Clark side is Zwerin, who finds Charlie Wagner. Disciplined vertical stack they're trying to be is this Bacchus side. Couple players going deep, Jonas Bray and Zwerin. Instead it's over to Wagner. DeVille Bodwin gonna take an injury sub.
You know, Theo, I was wondering about this. LBD had come up a little short during warm-ups, concerned maybe about a hamstring. We're going to hope that this is just short, not for the rest of the game, because that's a big hit on Middlebury if he can't come back in.
Yeah, you see a lot of tape around the quad, back into the hamstring area. It's usually not a good sign, but not an unusual sign this far into the tournament.
Do you have a stall?
A lot of mileage being spent by both teams.
Okay. You can either restart with a
route to a championship final. You see the stands just packed with fans looking forward to this matchup. Old school style out here. No stadium for this one. Wagner has Jonas Bray, but is then locked in with a dump set with Sam London. Bray cutting underneath, but Impis looking for Zwerin. Connection works out. That's a hold.
That's a gorgeous shot from Impus. Favorite target, Swearen's an athlete. Put the snap on it to get it out in front. Peter Mans is no mean defender. Couldn't even make a play with the precision of how that was placed.
Did see Lewis and Clark at the breakfast table this morning, and I saw Impus headphones in, getting locked in, getting dialed, and clearly it was working. That throw was perfectly placed to a perfect receiver. One thing I do want to say is that the defense from Middlebury looks like they are a little bit scared of Zwerin, which, I mean, of course, in the deep space, but he's getting a lot of free under looks there and still was able to score deep. I'm just not sure what kind of matchup is going to work on someone like that.
First team All-American last season, Max Zwerin, going to remain out there on this defensive point. Jericho Stern to his right. See Charlie Wagner also doubling up, playing some defense. Middlebury side, we know they got a large alumni presence. The women's team eliminated yesterday in semifinals. They're out here to support as well. Pierre Hartle, he was injured in that semifinal against Davenport. Great to see him back in the lineup. I was told before the game he will suit up. Gavin Rice now. Captain on this team fighting a fellow Southpaw, Peter Mans. Hartle trying to go deep. Wagner is in the area, but there was a pick called.
Charlie left, Toby, orbit.
Hartle grabs that one. Looking like a forced middle look from this Lewis and Clark side. Tight dump defense, safety valve, and Oscar DeSwan-Aarons, the rookie.
You know, we've talked about it a little bit in other broadcasts, but the lefty is a bit of an X factor on this Middlebury offense.
Swan-Aarons looking for Melamed. Laying out just in front of that Discraft orange cone, but cannot get there.
Sometimes with the force middle, you can see that they actually broke free of it, but they know that that mark is coming. That mark is going to force them back inside, and it was just a bit of a rushed throw.
Bit of a rush, and sometimes it's, you know, your first point on in the game. Nerves, jitters, you got to settle it down. These are errors that they'll want to clean up going further into the game.
Toby Rivera, quarterback for this D-line offense, just got to launch this backhand. Zwerin versus Mans. Zwerin wins the matchup with the right hand. Finds a reset, and Wagner trying to perhaps slow things down here. They're past midfield.
Hey, no zone, no zone, no zone.
Jericho Stern. That's Akshay Bhatia who just threw that one to Wagner. Rivera, he's also a lefty. That throw's hanging. And Peter Mans gets the block.
Just go over to the pranksters.
You know, Theo, this is a fun one. Peter Mans on the offense here, going up against former high school teammate Charlie Wagner, Edina out of Minnesota. Not the only Minnesota that we'll see. Leo Farley not yet to play, also from that Minnesota School of Play.
Both these teams drawing players from across the country. Wagner almost there. Hartle up to the task. Not fazed by a bidding defender. Gavin Rice now. It's going inside lefty. Foul going to be called by Zwerin on Mans. He kind of stopped moving after that happened.
You know, Theo, we saw a little bit of this in the pool play matchup, and we've talked about it in the women's division. There is this level of physicality and intensity when it comes to these high-stakes situations, but both parties need to be on the same page about how much physicality is being used.
Going back.
Looks like we had an offensive
Double foul call? Okay, so there's two foul calls. So one foul here, one foul there.
The offsetting fouls, we saw this in the final prior to this as well, so they got to manage both of them separately.
Rivera shaken a little bit by the cut from DeSwan Aarons. This is an offensive point for Middlebury here. Big block coming. Levi Stahl, captain on the squad, getting the second turnover for Middlebury off a block. Zwerin has Stahl going deep, gonna look for him, and Stahl had kind of come back instead.
That's a tough one, that urge to shoot deep, but just seconds prior to that, an unusual turn from Rice, not one that we're used to seeing from him. Again, these are high stakes. Can you play with consistency? Can you play your game like you always do, or does the environment affect your play?
Fans thought about the backhand. Looking for Melamed. Melamed was the intended receiver a couple possessions ago. Throw a little too far.
I also want to highlight how stretched out their stack and cutters are currently. And this is something that Lewis and Clark wants to achieve. They want to disconnect the handlers from the cutters.
Charlie Harder getting one of his first touches of the game for this Middlebury offense. Melamed. Finding Ned Cutler.
That's a big one. That's one of the Middlebury captains. And it really felt like that point could have gone Lewis and Clark way. Middlebury, the lower seed, but in some ways the favorite of this matchup. Loving all this early pressure from Lewis and Clark.
Yeah, we know that they're doing a bit of a force middle on Middlebury, but they knew that this was happening, and they know that they like working on the outsides, but because of this force, they're kind of forcing some turnovers that are a little bit uncharacteristic. But they're starting to settle down. Sick catch here. Just a couple weird miscues, a couple just nerves, environment kind of getting to your decision making. Sometimes when the pressure is high, you're living in a different part of your brain. You're living in the part of your brain that's overthinking and not in the part of your brain that's just naturally doing. And there's a lot of things that you can do to kind of help that. And one thing is being in more games like this.
This team came second in 2023, losing to Colorado College Wasabi in the final. They were also second in 2021, losing to Oklahoma Christian. So they've been at this final at the precipice of another national title, but have yet to do so since the 2019 season. Lewis and Clark, this is unfamiliar territory, and for a lot of these players, getting to play in front of such a large crowd must be an exhilarating experience, but as Danny, as you mentioned, perhaps a little bit of a nervous one as well.
Something that you'll see a lot of, Theo. Impus initiating off the front and taking shots.
There are three Middlebury players, and they will combine for a block.
We talked about this in the last game. Sometimes when you see a disc go up and there's a bunch of players underneath it, the best thing for you to actually do is wait for it to get tipped off, because that potentially could have been caught if we were waiting for a garbage collection.
Run sweep.
Yeah, run sweep.
Jory Dahl powering up a flick, looking for Tommy Chen, but Impus, the speedster, gets there.
Had the read on that 100% all the way. That flick had a lot of edge to it. The wind caught that. You can see the wind coming head on to us. That's a bit of a crosswind, more than a straight upwind, downwind.
Looking like London maybe stepped on the cleat of Rogers. Donovan finalist for Middlebury. The award winner was announced earlier in the women's semifinal. That was Daniel Snyder from Bates. So congratulations to him if he's watching at home. Farley moving things forward. Mia Helper and Lang resetting to London. Little shimmy shake and a reset. Farley has Olsen breaking into the deep space, but cutting off his cut is number 42.
You know, Theo, I'm seeing that same thing that Danny remarked on earlier. Looks like Middlebury really wanting to take away the deep space, but it's causing what I would call free unders.
and free outs.
Free outs is the case as Farley finding Jonas Bray.
Point of that style of defense is definitely to disturb the flow, and I think that it did have that impact. It did feel like they were trying to break through that layer for a while, but they were extremely patient. They hit some really tough inside-out swings in order to be able to get these throws available. We're gonna get a look at a few of our turnovers earlier. So again, a little bit of frustrations, not seeing the looks that we're normally used to being able to see with the style of defense that's being played. Both teams trading big shots that ultimately Lewis and Clark was able to come up.
Very much rising to the occasion. I love the vision to find Farley and then the Minnesota to Minnesota connection there. The defense had bailed, leaving Bray trying to cut off that throw, but instead leaves an open man in the red zone.
In front of us right now, Kelsey and Danny meeting at the mines. The defensive line that was just on. Having some discussion with their coach, Anna Baranis. Baranis, a new addition to the squad, appearing for conferences, regionals, and now nationals. Traditionally, Middlebury, a team known for their jovial nature. I said that last night as well, but now got a coach in tow, which can help take some of that mental management out of some of these leaders on the team.
You know, Theo, something that I'm kind of sensing, there's a little bit of a tightness to Middlebury right now. Things have gone more their way in other games. They haven't experienced quite the same adversity. Lewis and Clark playing with house money, it feels like.
They did lose that first matchup. Hartle looking for Mans. Mans will rise up with the offhand. That's his right hand. He's a lefty, and he gets the hold.
I love this matchup, Theo. They are going at it. Trade one, trade alike. Keaton up for Middlebury. It's Peter Mans.
I was going to say, throughout this point and throughout this game so far, I hadn't seen that same level of hunger from Middlebury that we saw yesterday in their semifinal game against Davenport. They had this kind of electric, they had this like drive, almost animalistic pressure on defense and this extreme confidence on offense. And then we just saw that point, maybe it's starting to come back to us.
Well, and Peter Mans, someone that this team looks to for that energy, that intensity. Hilariously, someone that I've coached, sweetest person alive, and so intense. It's a beautiful dichotomy.
We saw Wally Kwong, one of the observers, talking to Sam Frainer, and Frainer being apologetic as their team might have rushed the field too early there. Mans, like you said, rising up for the score. Not on this point, but Oscar DeSwan Aaron's rocking the bleach buzz cut. Been really impressed with him as a freshman player. According to Alti Reference or Altiverse, he was on the B team last year. Kind of hard to believe because he's been slotted so well into the offensive line, can cross over as well. That's number 14 in dark. Farley. Audible looking for Bray. Impis coming underneath, working against DeSwan Aarons. Impis. Beautiful throw to Bray. That was pretty.
Theo, I know you know this, but audience at home, you may not. Impis already shouted out, hands down, just my favorite player to watch this tournament. Just shades of Matt Smith out of Atlanta in this young player. Dynamic, beautiful throws, a speedster, big in the air. Expect to see more incredible things from Orlando Impis.
Now, Middlebury not able to sustain that pressure that they did yesterday. As I said last point, these players are just too open that throw is able to, I mean, it's a tough throw, it's a break throw, it's an IO touch, kind of cutting into the wind. It is not an easy throw to make, but when you see a player unguarded in that space, this just makes me feel like Middlebury isn't as dialed into their defensive pressure that they were and could be later on into this game.
Both teams having their women's counterparts out here in this tournament just make things a lot more special. And fun fact, Artemis and the Middlebury Panthers on the women's side both made the semifinal round as well. So just elite programs here at this tournament, shining where it matters most. Three players going deep for Middlebury. Who's gonna get it? Couple Bacchus players there. And Rice did elevate, but Lewis and Clark will get a break opportunity.
Usually teams make choices like that when they're feeling tight and they're not trusting in their systems. A 3-on-3 going that way is not necessarily the choice I would want my players to be making.
High stall situation for Wagner. Might just have to put it. Rivera, normally a handler, leaking out of the deep. Left-hand grab. Working a little give-go with Zwerin. Now Rivera finds a target. Lewis and Clark breaks back.
That's huge. Danny, you talked about that ability to recognize when the stall count is rising. Almost that sense for they're going to be looking deep. They'll need a bailout. Let me be there.
Sometimes as a thrower, you can find that person on your team that you trust. If it gets to stall 7, stall 8, you actually look up, you just find them and throw it anywhere near them. So that's our first break of the game. If you're a Lewis and Clark fan, you are absolutely buzzing right now, as we do have some Lewis and Clark fans buzzing here on the field as well.
You know, Danny, and I'll say it again, like a lot of people heavily favoring Middlebury coming into this game. And I love that we're getting this matchup. I love that we're seeing this fight. A lot of confidence that Middlebury can find their center and get back in this. But I love the performance that we're seeing from Lewis and Clark.
Lewis and Clark did say that the last time they played Middlebury in this tournament, it was a bit of a wake-up call. They hadn't really played against teams with this much intensity and defensive pressure before. And so it was kind of a gift for them to actually get to see them earlier, even though that they did lose to them last time. It allowed them to prepare for this exact moment right now. It is hard to beat a team twice, and I hate saying those cliches. I don't hate them because I say them, but it's hard to beat a team twice. And right now, it's not a large victory. It's not a large margin, but it's one break.
Normally you would see LDB come over and play some offense. He is still not on the field after the injury sub. Rice looking for DeSwan Aarons. Can Batia get there? It's DeSwan Aarons coming in with the catch.
That's huge. You can feel it, the energy, the outlet. You called it animalistic, but there's a passion to this, right? Middlebury loves to exist in that moment, in that sense. Funny because they're known as being clean and systematic, but also this fervor. They like to ride, they like to be on defense. Lewis and Clark kind of taking that space from them this game, and now they get a little bit of it back.
They like playing quick. They absolutely like playing fast, and this disc is absolutely ripped right away. Know thy receiver, know thy receiver.
Well, next man up mentality, right? LDB out, who's up? Who's stepping up?
You do see sometimes when your star player or one of your star players goes down, often you'll get other people rising to that moment. And right now, we have other people willing to take that space.
Loving this. You're seeing that intensity. The sideline
Animalistic, for sure.
holding its men back.
Also, you talked about D3 soccer players. That's Sam London, who just threw the disc to Impus. Now finding Helper and Lang. See, that's Ben Eichel. Eichel resetting to London. Eichel once again. Got the Sunny G's on, playing in style here, getting it over to Bray. Jonas Bray into the end zone one more time. That's 3 goals for number 10.
Don't sleep on Jonas Bray. He's having a moment. But the vision from London to see that window, and for Jonas Bray, the slowdown and then acceleration, caught defense sleeping.
Definitely an unconventional offensive point there, hitting a couple of different throws at different angles that I think we're used to seeing from these teams. But right now, these players are a little bit open in the middle of the field. So I know that Middlebury is experimenting with some sloughing and some poaching, but it seems like I love their identity yesterday. I love that, like, we're just going to outwork you. We're just more athletic than you. We're going to get blocks. We're going to generate blocks by being physical and not necessarily trying to outsmart the other team.
Oh, Absolutely. You know, and it's interesting, Coach Hannah Baranis, we were talking to her before, you know, talked about some of the adjustments and that mentality that they felt they had really owned that matchup and lived up. Kind of my question, did they peak too soon?
Oh, you can't say that.
A little
It's a bad
jinx action.
omen. But I love it.
You love me, you hate me.
I love you, I hate you. No, I just love you.
Swan Aaron's coming off the front of the stack into the deep space. On around to Mans.
You know Peter Mans loves to prove me wrong.
Force middle applied once again. Mans looking deep. The Swan Aaron's undercuts the throw and gets the grab. He's having a great game, is the rookie.
Reads to me a little bit like Jeff Babbitt in the UFA, undercutting the whole crowd for that end of quarter victory. I love that. The lefty edge sloping down, reads that, knows it's going to come up short, and just charges through traffic to scoop it up.
Another look at this throw here. Nice touch on this throw. Read all the way. Favorite receiver. I mean, there's obviously a lot of other people in that space, but well read. When the disc is up in the air and it has that kind of edge and you have more of the outside position, the farther away position, it allows you to run into it rather than kind of running away from it. So it's just super smart reading.
And look at this choice. You make a hype play like that, leave them out on the field, leave them hungry.
Heck yes. Oftentimes if my team gets a break, a quick break, it's same line. Why get other people in there? They're riding that high. Defense is so much about momentum. Defense is so much about, like, again, that I'm gonna keep saying that animalistic thing. If you see that look in their eyes, like they want to go get a block, keep them on the field.
This offensive line here for Bacchus does not have Zwerin or Wagner on the field. London going to be quarterbacking, looking for Impis, has him now. Impis has Farley, but pumps him underneath instead to the 3-goal scorer, Bray. Farley now on the far side.
You know, if I were going to describe the Lewis and Clark offense, I would almost say they play single handler offense with several hybrids downfield that just come in and out of play.
Yeah, they're leaving a little bit more space for cuts in the kind of front of stack space as we have a bit of an ouchie moment.
Jasper Piercy-Con, that's a little too physical, trying to play some defense on Topher Olsen. Some discussion to be had as well.
Sometimes when you have this style of defense where you are kind of baiting throws to go in the middle and players are kind of looking to pick stuff off, oftentimes you can have players sort of taking the same line or different lines to the same space, making it a bit crunchy at times.
Now one more look at that. A lot of contact.
A bit late.
I would agree. And you can hear them
All
discussing
right.
this dangerous
So it's a
play on the
foul,
field.
no contest.
We do have an uncontested
We're giving you a
foul
dangerous play.
and a
TMF on that.
misconduct foul. League issued a yellow card.
So if you just joined us in the women's final, a player was taken out of the game for 2 yellow cards, given a red. So certainly keep an eye on that for Jasper Piercy-Con, JPK. He gets another one, he's out.
Danny, what can you tell us about the psychology of how that affects a defensive player to receive a yellow card?
Yeah, well, they are just like a little bit more hesitant to maybe make some bids, maybe try to get some run-throughs, because if you do get that second one and you're ejected from the game, you can't even be at the field. So we learned this in the last game. We were a little bit slow to kind of remove the player from the premises, but you can't even be there.
James Fisherman Morin now. Looking around, finding Farley. Farley keeping things going. London milking as far as he could.
Bacchus getting all the break side right now, and the snatch from Impis.
Impis feeling himself right now. Not just the throws, but the sick catches when it matters. Lewis and Clark with a gritty point there.
Impis just plays with joy in the game. Just looking at him right now, so much joy, fired up.
So much joy and so little ego. I got a chance to talk to him before this, and he just cited, you know, the work, the grind, and that it feels good to be here. I love that.
Getting a look at one of the star players. We highlighted a player to watch, Louis Deville-Baudouin. LDB has not played since the injury sub that he took off on the first point. So something to keep an eye out on.
There's some injuries you can play through. If you have like an ankle sprain, you could tape it up, and sometimes it's just pain. Of course, you can injure more things around the ankle, but when it's a hamstring, it's actually something that prevents you from being able to sprint. And maybe you're so good on offense that it's okay if you can't play defense on a turn, but the amount of turnovers that happen at this level in college ultimate in this weather, having a defensive liability on the field is not always worth the offensive upside.
Now that is something where the mentality is so important. Can he rally? Can he be a leader for his team in this moment when there's got to be a bitterness in his mouth and not being able to play at this stage?
That was Hartle yesterday. He's back out on the field. Center handler is Mans. Going to take on the Zwerin matchup. Those two locking up multiple times throughout this game. And they didn't have Zwerin on that last offensive point. They're going to put him out on D. Face guarding, trying to lock down Mans. They had to go out to a secondary option in DeSwan Aarons.
Something I'll say with an athlete like Zwerin on the mark, I'd love to see Mans setting up, maybe a little bit more negative, making a different style of cut. His speed has been enough.
There's a potential down call there. Live first look, I thought it was down, Kelsey.
I did too.
Observer ruling, we're going to need to start with a check. It was down. Hold. We need to start with a check. Black is going to give a 3-2-1 ground check, and we can go.
From here, looks down. It's a good call. All is right in the world.
All is right in the world, except in Middlebury. They're going to have to play defense. And Lewis and Clark just continuing to ride the high.
Deep cut right away. That one's tailing away from Ahlstrom.
You know, and that's that adrenaline, big play in the moment, but when you pick it up and just immediately huck like that, you might have someone going, but is it the best choice? Implied in that is a no.
Force middle once again from Bacchus here. Seeing that on both finals. Teams implementing that strategy. Zwerin has been locking down Mans. They've had to go to a second option a couple times now because of it. Defensive pressure from Bacchus really ratcheting up. You can feel it. And it results in a turnover.
Great mark there to kind of get that foot over to prevent that throw, to make that throw go a little faster.
Melamed taking a tumble, looking like he might be worse for wear, but going to stay on the field.
And very slow to go up. Surprised he didn't take an injury there. Sometimes that can be tough for the player not wanting to, but is it the best decision versus being a step slow in a game as fast as this one?
Stern's throw is absolutely denied by Cutler.
Cutler, another one of the captains for this team. This could be the play that pushes Middlebury back in close.
DeSwan Aarons flipping it to Charlie Harder.
Apologies, not a captain for this team, but definitely one of the strategy leaders. That's a big one. Big one for Middlebury, bringing it back to one, getting their defense back out there. They just feel like they're playing on their back heels, and if I'm Lewis and Clark, I'm loving that Zwerin shutdown of Mans. What do you do there, Danny? Do you release Mans downfield and have him play from different angles?
I mean, they talked about trust when we talked to them earlier. So if you are being locked up like that in the handler space, sometimes you got to drive and let somebody else fill into that space. Because if they are really locking into this one player that they need to get that disc to, and they don't have that option anymore, other people are just less likely to take that space.
Timeout being called. I believe it was called by the Pranksters, their first of the half.
Danny, I know you have opinions about timeouts. It felt like they had a little bit of momentum there. Would you have taken that?
I would take it in order to double shift people. If that's my intention, I think that's a smart use of a timeout. And if they've only used one, that's totally great. Times when you have momentum and you're feeling a vibe and you maybe think, okay, well, the other team is going to have to double shift people too. You kind of have to make a gamble, make a bet. But at this point, I don't actually mind this timeout. They can rest their starters. They can play them again.
On the other side, I feel like Lewis and Clark left something there. They had 2 opportunities to get the break, and they chose not to call a timeout. I would actually want to see them call one there, try to settle down their D-line offense.
Yeah, but we talked to Coach Keith Rayner earlier, and he was talking about how sometimes you bait the other team into calling the timeout instead. So maybe that's what was happening. They're playing 4D chess out here.
4D chess, 5D chess perhaps. As we'll see who Middlebury decides to put on their defensive line. You have that extra rest with the timeout. Are you going to power it here is the question. Jasper Piercy Khan set to pull. Tommy Chen out there as well. Aiden Di Lorenzo. Adab Melamed. Peter Mans also on the field. Vincent Sullivan. We interviewed him yesterday. He's also out there for the Prankster side. Peter Mans is seemingly the only lone crossover here. So no Gavin Rice or DeSwan Aarons, who has crossed over earlier in this contest. Is center to Sam London. Chants continue to be heard throughout this complex. I'm sure the houses nearby are wondering what's all this noise happening right here.
Not your average Monday for sure.
I feel like they need to be warned that there's going to be a lot of noises happening for these 2 final matchups on Monday.
Middlebury doing a good job of clamping on defense. One player that continues to be wide open is Impus.
Impus shooting at Bray is not going to get there. Big turnover forced by Middlebury. They just called that timeout. Can their D-line offense now go to work? They have yet to generate a break in this game.
So, Danny, looking at that, Impus had reset options. I'm wondering if Impus just didn't see Mans. It looked like Bray had broken free, but an unusual look and a lower percentage throw than usual.
Yeah, it did feel like potentially the stack was getting a little close. It wasn't adjusting quite well enough, so maybe there was a feeling of pressure in that moment, trying to just put a throw out into space. It was a bit of the wrong execution and maybe the wrong choice.
And you were like space to contest that cut either. We're right next to each other. Yeah, you're taking away that backfield.
A little soft tackle.
I don't think
All right.
Okay.
What would you like to do?
How many times 42?
Okay, so
there
really neither of us had a good perspective on it, so we have to play that as a foul contest. This is going to go back to the thrower.
Arguing a little bit of a push off in order to get that separation.
We have a contested foul.
And the observers don't have a good line, and they can't be, as you said earlier, 90% or better, sure. They use it as a foul contest.
Di Lorenzo finding Mans. The low O-line crossover, powering this backhand, looking for Max Rogers. Sam London bats it. And Rogers is gonna get it. Middlebury gets a break, and we're tied up.
You can see the crowds, you can hear the crowds. Everyone is pumped up. People are feeling fired up. Got a tie game. We love that break back moment for Middlebury.
And if you're Peter Mans, you say, thank you for saving me through that one a little short. Risk reward, right, Danny?
Right, high risk, high reward.
Effort from London to get in there, get a finger on it. A little touch more wind like we've been seeing the rest of this weekend, and that sails out of bounds.
So unfortunate if you're the defender there. You read it well, you make a big play, and then you're literally on the ground. Literally on the ground. So London just has to watch that happen, has to see it happen from the ground, the second effort on that catch.
Helpless feeling, really, Danny, because you're just seeing Rogers catch it. You've tried to make a play. Look at the jets he put on.
And then you just watch them catch the goal right in front of your face. Devastating, devastating. With the spike there as well. And our Nathan Kalakovic camera view of it. Super slow-mo, super HD,
almost
4K
surreal
even.
the way that came through. Just a moment of peace in the middle of the chaos. I love that. They will cross over Peter Mans, wanting to pour on the pressure now that they have this bit of momentum.
The Swan Aarons as well as Gavin Rice also makes his appearance.
Really feels like this could be a pivotal point.
London wondering where Rogers was as he gets a free under. Farley evading Sullivan.
Don't force it, don't force it.
Danny, did you notice how far off the mark Mans was?
I like it. I'm not sure if you like it, but that's the one thing I'm noticing about some of these forced middles is that I think that the mark could be doing more to help that next layer, those cuts off the front of the staff, because when the mark is switching, you're going to be a little bit out of position as the disc is moving. So the mark can do a lot to shoulder check and swoop and take that away.
If I'm running this way.
No, I'm 100% there. I think
Logically.
that's
Okay.
soft.
Would you like just leave it as a foul contest or
Think about it logically.
for an observer ruling?
Wait.
Okay.
You can retract it, right?
I could if I wanted to, but
You should.
logically.
You really should, but okay.
Yeah. So we had a pretty good view of that. Observer ruling is that was a foul. That was a push off.
When the outside thoughts come in,
we had a pretty
when
good
the inside
perspective.
thoughts
It's
come
coming
outside
back.
is what I mean. You can retract if you want. You know you can.
London and Rogers getting into it a little bit there. We see Hartle clapping on the sideline along with Ned Cutler. This matchup has just gotten a little bit spicier here. London coming with that varsity soccer background. Big shot going up for Fisherman Moore, and Peter Mans swooping in. Zwerin, the intended target.
Peter Mans, one of the players that lives rent-free in this Lewis and Clark men's team, and proving there why.
Yeah, they're gonna have nightmares if he continues to make plays like he has right now. London almost there, and jawing a little bit with Rogers. This is getting perhaps with the observers, maybe they're gonna try to take control of this game because London jawing a little bit with Rogers after he was not able to make the catch. And a block the other way. Vincent Sullivan. But a foul is called by London on Rogers.
The crowd does not like that one. You can hear their displeasure.
Do you like that one, Kelsey?
You know, quite frankly, I was watching downfield.
I know, the block was amazing.
See if we get another look.
I think you said it. I imagine you think I hit it while you're using your hand.
Having a quick discussion with each other and with the observer.
So hang on. So the foul is a contact foul. Okay. Hold up.
I can test that because I think I hit the disc after it was released.
All right. How do you want to play this? Do you want to leave it as a foul contest?
I'm happy to go. See you.
Okay. Yeah. So observer ruling. Yeah, that was a foul. All right. We're coming back here.
Danny, we've talked about it. What do you tell your players?
If you're confident in your call, go to the observer. If you're not so sure, you can still be confident-ish. Leaving as a contest is the right move. In most cases, obviously there's specifics, but I do not think that was necessarily foul. I feel like there was contact, but then that throw that had contact wasn't actually thrown. It was the next throw that was.
Farley was looking for London, but now it's Bray. Bray's gonna go up the line, finding James Fisherman Morin for the hold.
That's a tough one. These are tense moments. Spirits are very high, and it feels like a win for Lewis and Clark, but what I also take away from that, pressure that Middlebury was able to exert on each of those individual throws. I don't want them to get caught up in this back and forth chatter. I want them to focus on play. If they can do that, I think we'll keep a really good game. But this could dissolve just into pettiness.
It could. You kind of see the players kind of getting at each other. They're still having communications now, like on the sidelines. They're still kind of talking about the calls as they happened. Sometimes it fires people up. Sometimes people use it as fuel, and sometimes it actually make you turn the disc over even more.
Rogers can't believe it. You see the arms up. He's saying, hey, what's going to be done about this? We saw a lot of jawing from London there.
And I don't know about that call either. Oftentimes, if you're going to be throwing that as like a dad pass backhand, they do get blocked a lot.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a downer for Middlebury. They'll go out, a couple of the guys on that line having to come back out to play offense.
Hartle trying to shake free, gets the reset. Charlie Harder going deep. Mans has it in power position, looking for Harder. Trying to get his second effort. Went with the left hand, then the right. But it'll be a break opportunity for Lewis and Clark. 2 timeouts in their back pocket. Curious to see if they use one here. Wagner to pick up. Walking it to the line.
Thought there was a little bit of contact on that myself, but I honestly thought the throw came too late. The player's already too deep. Big opportunity here for Lewis and Clark. They could take half.
Swearing, they have to respect the deep, so he's getting a lot of unders right now. Mans against him once again. Back it up the line, finding Rivera. Rivera looking for Batia. This throw's hanging, and Hartle's there. Not the right angle from Rivera.
Blink and you'll miss it. But Rivera released that disc, hands immediately on his knees. It wasn't the throw he wanted. Frustration with the release. An absolute gift to the defense.
Swan Aaron's gonna have to elevate. But Jericho Stern is there. Zwerin was providing some backup coverage. Bacchus trying to break for half.
You know, Lewis and Clark calls it pursuit. Not one, but as many bodies as possible on any floating disc, any tip disc at all times.
Stern, just outside the end zone. Hits Olstrom, and Bacchus takes half, 8-6.
What an incredible performance from this Bacchus side. The fans are loving it. Middlebury's gonna have to pick its head up, Danny.
I'm really hoping that during this halftime they can really regroup, remember what got them into this game, and play back to that style of defense. Because right now this kind of like sluffy, backing, maybe poaching and switching stuff is just not working for them. It's not hyping them up either. You know who's hyped up is Lewis and Clark.
They are absolutely hyped. You know, I feel, Danny, like they kind of came in this game with nothing to lose.
Yes.
Again, Middlebury, the perceived favorite, the repeat semi-finalist. They've already won here. This is a new experience. No fear.
No fear.
No fear certainly right now. Bacchus riding high into halftime, holding an 8-6 advantage.
Chilling in my crib, no doubt. Being scenery, telephone rang, then it stopped before I could answer it. I heard a knock at the door, so I answered it. And with Jermaine, he had a little situation. Beef up on the block, and Orthodox that led the confrontation. He said these cats be acting hard on the block.
We're here at halftime in a hotly contested men's final. Lewis and Clark up 8-6 on Middlebury. It's been a battle back and forth, and we're joined here by the coach of Middlebury, Hannah Baranis. Hannah, have to ask the first thing, which is there's been a lot of physicality, a lot of chippiness in this contest. What's the messaging for your team regarding that?
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about the number one thing is just being safe to yourselves and safe to your opponents. So number one message is safety. Ground is slippery, got to slow down a little bit earlier. And then it's just about like showing opponents and showing yourselves kindness like through these situations.
Now, we did talk before the game a little bit about some of the adjustments you're going to be making, and I'm curious a little bit because your defensive scheme looks very different today than it looked yesterday in the semifinal. Can you talk us through a little bit about your approach to that, and will it be changing in the second half?
Yeah, so I think before the game, Danny, you and I talked about how great offenses are threatening in two ways, and Lewis and Clark is doing a great job being threatening under and threatening deep. So we've switched up some more sort of poachy. We've added some more poachy switchy looks to try to just slow them down off of the pull, and we'll continue that into the second half.
Hannah, this is a team with a really strong leadership core. Who do you look to in these scenarios, this adversity, to really step up and lead the team and provide some of that energy and spark in the second half?
I think what's beautiful about this team is it's not on one person. It comes from all 26 of them. We talk about being 26 best friends, and I got to come along with the 26 best friends. So it comes from everybody.
All right, Hannah, thank you for your time. We'll let you get back to your squad as you get ready for the second half. Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
8-6 the score line. Bacchus with 2 breaks. We'll start out on offense. Middlebury had one of their own. And this has been an intense battle here, Kelsey.
This has been super intense. And you look how tight this is. Maybe biggest things, break chances to breaks, but a lot of parity throughout this. And maybe more so even than the score flex. Does the score to you reflect how you feel about these teams are playing, Danny?
I almost feel like Lewis and Clark might have a slightly bigger edge than it looks like right now. Middlebury does seem a bit spooked at the moment, but right now Middlebury will be coming out on offense, so it could be a 1-point game pretty quick.
Lewis and Clark has the advantage, and we're joined by one of their coaches, Ben Whitenack. Ben, thank you for being here, and an intense first half, a lot of passion being displayed. You have 2 breaks to your credit. What was the key defensively for your squad?
Just running hard. We're dogs. We're here to grind. We're in the Northwest. It's raining. It's a little bit of wind. It's muddy. We're just going to do our job all day and give everything we got.
Now, I know that this is a big game for your players. Haven't maybe been in this moment before, but right now it doesn't seem like they're phased at all by the moment. What did you do last night, this morning, to prepare everyone to be able to play their best at the moment?
That's a great question. We work on stressful situations is one, but we also tell each other we love each other and we believe in the work that we do. And I can't think of a team I'm more proud of than the Bacchus right now and where we're at.
Coach, you've got a lot of really talented players on your team, and
That's
one that
true.
we haven't highlighted as much, who's really stepped up this game, Jonas Bray.
Oh.
Tell us a little bit about Jonas.
Jonas Bray, returning from an ACL injury last year. He was abroad even. He has been an amazing piece to gain mid-spring, reintegrated mid-season. He has been an unbelievable O-line cutter, and his throws have developed immensely in this 2 months we've had him this year.
Love it.
Hoping to see more of Bray and the rest of your Bacchus squad in action in the second half. Wish you the best of luck.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
for joining us.
Yep.
If the first half was any indication, this is going to be a great end to the Division III College Championships. What a battle we have on our hands. Zwerin getting involved. I haven't said his name too much, I'll be honest, Kelsey. I think he's going to continue to make an impact, but they've relied on some other players like Jonas Bray to do some of the work.
Well, and remember, one of the impacts is in some ways effectively taking Peter Manns out of play on the offensive line. One area where we've seen Manns step up, however, is on the defense, some big Ds. But the placement and playmaking of this Lewis and Clark Bacchus team has been just superb. Trading points, really creating that hype. The shot from Manns, tipped by London, and that moment of peace just settling into the hands. A contentious pairing here, going back and forth. I'm really curious to see what the energy feels like in the second half.
Ahlstrom celebrating, and so is this Bacchus side, for now, because they're up 8-6 at halftime.
Hey, yo, the rain was steady pouring, heard the drops, it was meant to be. Chilling in my crib, no doubt. Beat the scenery, telephone rang, then it stopped before I could answer. I heard a knock at the door. so I answered it. And what Jermaine, he had a little situation. Beef up on the block, and orthodox that led the confrontation. He said these cats be acting hard on the block.
Get the ultimate news you need to know with the Deep Look podcast. I'm Charlie Eisenhood.
And I'm Keith Rayner, and together we bring the games, names, and moments in Ultimate to your podcast feed. We talk Ultimate's biggest news from on and off the field about and with the people making it.
And every week we go live on YouTube. Come join the fun, the trivia, the picks, the analysis, and more Tuesdays at noon Eastern Time.
We'll see you there.
Welcome back. Right now, we are still in the halftime of our men's final. We are doing the Donovan Award ceremony for 2025 for the women's division.
4 years in a row. Whether it's juking defenders or laying out for a block, Zoe elevates the level of play instantly. All the accolades still don't grasp her talent. Zoe is a phenom. Her passion for Ultimate, her teammates, and the community is unparalleled. Please welcome from Haverford, Bryn Mawr Sneetches, Zoe Costanza. And next up, from Mount Holyoke College, Jamie Eldridge. For the past 4 years, Jamie has been a guiding force for Daisy Chain, both on and off the field. If you ever catch them on a sideline, Jamie will always be the loudest, shouting encouragement to the teammates. Leading by example, Jamie brings composure and respect for teammates and opponents alike. From Mount Holyoke College Daisy Chain, Captain Jamie Eldridge. Our third finalist and a recently crowned national champion, from Wesleyan Vicious Circles, Natalie Sweet. A versatile and reliable teammate. They've been persistently eager to learn, grow, and up their game. After suffering a nearly season-ending injury, Nat never stopped showing up. A steadfast leader, committed teammate, and an inspiration. Wesleyan was very proud to nominate national champion Nat Sweet. Next up from Amherst College, Sophia Taberski. Early to captaincy, Sophia quickly took over after getting to Amherst and has always given full effort. A wise and thoughtful leader, the Sparkle Motion captain is unmatched defensively on the field and is a calm presence to those around her off the field. Please welcome from Amherst College, Sophia Taberski. And our final candidate for this year's Donovan Award from Wellesley College, it's Annika Wahlberg. With no prior experience, Sid Wahlberg debuted with the Whiptails and was a standout at the 22 and 23 college championships. A captain her last 2 years, she embodies spirit of the game dynamic, reliable, and intelligent. Please welcome Wellesley's nominee, Annika Wahlberg. And now your 2025 Donovan Award winner in the women's division. From Haverford Bryn Mawr, it's Zoe Costanza. Congratulations to all of our finals, and thank you all for celebrating the Donovan Award with us. Great win, by the way, Matt.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Zoe Costanza, your 2025 Donovan Award winner.
Congratulations to Zoe Costanza, a silver medal and a Donovan Award to add to the trophy case here today. Great to see the Donovan Award being awarded at both the men's and women's finals half times.
IRL.
You're right, IRL, not on video. Love that flavor. Both teams in huddle and trying to dial in right now as they get ready for an intense second half coming. Lewis and Clark up 8-6 right now.
Get the ultimate news you need to know with the Deep Look podcast. I'm Charlie Eisenhood.
And I'm Keith Rayner, and together we bring the games, names, and moments in Ultimate to your podcast feed. We talk Ultimate's biggest news from on and off the field about and with the people making it.
And every week, we go live on YouTube. Come join the fun, the trivia, the picks, the analysis, and more, Tuesdays at noon Eastern Time.
We'll see you there.
On the grand stage to keep possession. Huge bid, gets the time. Great opportunity for the Germans, and they break with ease. Throw it the full 80 yards to the field. Are you kidding me? And an incredible catch. You are kidding me. Oh my gosh. One of the plays in the year.
Come here, come a little closer. Don't be afraid, no, I don't wanna hurt you. A little more, come in, let me just show you. Don't know, can't talk, let me just show you. Don't be obsessive, it could be intensive, it could be explosive, it could be offensive. Don't be defensive, don't be aggressive, it will be a waste, cause it could be expensive. Don't be obsessive, it could be intensive, it could be explosive, it could be offensive. Don't be defensive, don't be...
8-6 scoreline here at halftime. Lewis and Clark, they look pretty animated in their huddle. They're pumped up. The fans as well. Steve the Swan out here for Middlebury. But they got a coach IRL this year. Hannah Baran is trying to usher in the squad. Just watch her walk off screen here as Peter Mann's talking to the offensive line. They will be starting on offense. Theo Wan here with Kelsey Percy and Danny Proby for this, what has been so far an epic final. We expect nothing less here in the second half.
You know, Theo, when we wrapped up the last half, one of the things I was talking about is energy. What type of energy do we see? Who wins the energy battle? Lewis and Clark came out fighting in the first half. They really took it to Middlebury. Middlebury also taking a hit, losing MDB right off the bat. Can Middlebury recover? I want to see them really start to punch because it feels like right now they're just getting knocked to the ground.
Cutler stopping that one from rolling further into their own territory here. Did see Louis DeVille Baudouin trying to warm up. We'll see if he ends up stepping out on the field. Currently on the sidelines, Oscar DeSwan Aarons with the ball. Finding Mans. Effort from Zwerin, but Mans will play on.
That's a lot of traffic at the front cone, y'all.
The stack being quite congested here. Batia now against Rice. Farley chasing down harder, 3 versus number 3. And he's going to call a pick.
I want to cite again the optimistic defensive positioning making up on that pick call.
Yes, always.
Always.
Like to do like the
a step closer and a step towards the front.
Draw the line when it happens and then draw where they end up.
Did you make a call?
He made the call.
So
I
if you
don't
did not
think
make the
it's
call, you do
malicious,
not catch
but
up.
it happens every time.
It's fine, let's go. Can I make a pick?
At this point, it's 2 retroactive. You can't make it now. Yep. Your self-check to start.
2 retro.
Rice, immediate quick trigger, finding DeSwan Aarons. Below the stack from Rice. Finding Mans, and the mark slow to get around in Zwerin, allowing Mans to find harder for the goal.
That's a big one for Middlebury. That's what they wanted to start with. Something I want to cite, though, keep an eye on this one. Hartle largely taken out of play by some excellent coverage by Stahl. Keep an eye on that matchup. Hartle has been a release valve in other games and someone that really got the disc moving downfield. They're largely having to operate without him. Lewis and Clark Bacchus doing a really good job of shutting down some of these key matchups.
So we're looking at the end zones here. So if we can take a pause here. I know that we've been doing a lot of forced middle, and a lot of times teams will stop doing forced middle in end zone. So right now we have this mark forcing back to the away side. If you keep going, the mark ends up flipping, and some of the defenders end up being on the wrong side. And we're able to get this break, and then they're able to attack the far side. So this is a really good reason as to why forced middle can be really tough in end zone, is that you don't have that advantage of being able to always read the mark. If they're dinking the disc back and forth kind of in the middle of the field, you're consistently out of position and you can hit back corners really easily for scores.
Yeah, this is not the UFA. No double teams allowed.
I mean, they tried in the first half. There's some pretty egregious double teaming in the first half.
Looking out on the field, that's like a phoenix rising from the ashes. That's Luis Duil Baudouin, first point since the first point of the game. So back in action for Middlebury here. See what kind of impact he can make. That's 25 in the dark jersey. On Olsen right now. London gonna have to go with the inside shot to Impus. It's been a while since this O-line has been on the field with that extended halftime. And of course they got a break to go into half. Farley finding Olsen.
You know, it's such a boost to Middlebury having their captain out on the field. Even if he's not able to make a significant play, just fighting back into the second half picks up his teammates.
Great save from Eichel. London clapping for the disc. Will continue to draw Rogers as his matchup. Remember, they got into it earlier in the first half.
Danny, if you're a coach, do you keep that matchup when you know it's running hot? Do you switch it up?
Oh my gosh. Major contact.
Alamed, the one who got impacted there.
One thing for people listening, sometimes when these types of plays happen, you kind of get wrapped up in the moment. Still remember that these are humans, these are just young people playing the same game that you love, so check on your opponent maybe first before kind of moving on with the play. It's an important kind of spirit thing and just human thing.
There's no call made. All right.
But I feel like that's dangerous. Yeah, I think I would call it dangerous play.
Okay.
Yeah, I would call it dangerous play just because I was coming here. I couldn't see him.
Sure.
And then I was going for the dish. I didn't see you make a play.
Sure.
Okay. I was pretty shielded by James.
Yep.
So, like, I didn't see who was coming this way.
Sure.
I kind of felt like we got there at similar times, and we were.
Sure.
It wasn't like I was coming from upfield, you were coming from downfield. Like, we were both kind of just coming on the same line. You know what I mean?
I thought that he came from more of that angle.
Okay.
So I couldn't see him.
If they ask for your perspective, you can. So you're calling dangerous play. It sounds like you're contesting it.
Yeah.
What would you like to do?
One more view of this.
I think you had a better lane to see what was happening coming from downfield. So I think, like, as he was the dender to the back downfield, like, there is something to be said about having the visibility of the play.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, I think, like, both of you are.
Okay.
We got to go.
But
All right.
I think it's
So-
like, as long as I'm getting the dish.
Yep. So it is your disc. That was a dangerous play, right? Poaching off from that side. It's your responsibility to pick up that space.
Okay. Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Happy to see both players checking on each other at the end there to make sure that they're good. A little earlier would have been better, but it's okay.
Well, and Danny, something that we've talked about is this style of defense, of the
Yes.
angles and jumping into these lanes. You're going to see it creates more of these opportunities for this dangerous play.
Yeah, we've seen it in both finals. So much force middle, so much more clogging and kind of gumming up the middle space, and abilities to, like, poach off and kind of try to pick off plays.
London looking deep. Farley, elevation.
That is classic Leo Farley, ladies and gentlemen. Been kind of quiet so far this final, but Leo Farley has arrived.
So after a bunch of kind of conversations and calls, to be able to make a play like that, to kind of get that hold back for your team, first point of the second half is a really big moment for Lewis and Clark.
You know, if you're Middlebury, it's kind of a 1-2 punch of the scary play, the card, and now getting dunked on. Like, that's a 1-2-3 punch. How do you respond?
Remember, they have 2 cards now. Jasper Piercy-Kahn has a yellow, and now Nadav Melamed also has one.
I do like that the observers are more willing to bring out these cards, and I think that they're justified to be calling these in these moments, and in any game really. It's in order to keep the players safe. It's just a check. It's the one way that observers can really help impact the safety of players on the field is by making these calls.
Wagner, their leading assist leader, coming out on defense, been doing a lot of that for them and becoming a main puller. Mans is going deep. There was a switch. Mans is still free.
Too deep, come back. Again, watch this Wagner-Stahl matchup.
Harder, looking for Mans, working against Swearin. Throws popping up, but Cutler will come from the backside to receive it.
Excuse me, harder Stahl matchup, but getting business done and taking care of it. Middlebury, good recovery. Like, that's what you want to see.
Yeah, good response, clean O point after a point that they just had, a little bit contentious, some tough calls, some tough bids, but to come out clean like that really settles the troops. Will we see LDB back out there again? It's interesting to me that you can go from having a hamstring pull to your first pull point back being a D point. Like, I know that they were marking Olsen in the handler space, but still playing pretty good defense.
Peter Mans, a few assists for this Middlebury squad. Can also elevate in the air. Been a big time driving force, a product of Minnesota, making some plays for this prankster side.
You know, I talked about it a little early. If there was one player on this Middlebury team that lives rent-free in Bacchus's head, it's Peter Mans. They're aware of where he is at all times on the field. And if they're able to shut him down, he still makes space for his teammates. Been using his throws, legs, and defensive prowess.
LDB back out here on the field for another defensive point.
Okay, so they're maybe exclusively using him on defense. We'll have to see. He's going to be on Olsen once again.
You know, I like this decision to keep him in this handle space. So smart, high Frisbee IQ, but also smaller movements versus a full-out sprint.
I don't understand. If I'm Olsen in this situation, I would just handler strike.
Take him deep.
Yes.
I'm thinking exactly the same thing.
Also have the height
it's mean,
advantage.
but true.
Height advantage also in play here. Mann's gonna go up against Impus. Mann's playing a lot of points, both offense, defense. Farley had the big snag earlier, faking the hammer. Deciding to be calm, but instead he goes with the hammer to Olsen. So they take your advice. Olsen goes downfield, catches the score.
They got me mic'd up right now.
You know, and that's a tough one because I think in other scenarios, LDB absolutely makes a bid, you know, pressures that look, but Farley recognizing the relative mismatch right now, gorgeous shot out to space.
Hammers win games. Hammers win games.
Farley feeling himself right now because had the big elevation for the goal on the last clean hold and then throwing the hammer. They've scored 2 points in the half and both of them have been clean holds. Farley 17 goals coming into this contest. Uncorking a hammer here. Captain, a senior leader on this team. Making a play. Now 2-goal lead restored as Wagner taking his spot as the main puller once again. Bobbling a little bit was Melamed, but we'll find Hartle. Mans continues to be out on the field. There's a pick called. Some more confusion as play halts.
Violation called. Everybody jump the gun a bit.
You see Hartle loading up the flick. Mans going deep. Zwerin in the area. Defensive presence. They elect not to make that decision. Great defensive pressure. This Bacchus side with their handler reset defense. That was Levi Stahl on Hartle. Hartle has now shifted downfield.
Remember what we said earlier about putting Mans as not the primary reset, but the secondary or tertiary and that opening up space? It's working.
Rice needs something. He tried to pivot, I think, and reset the stall count. Bhatia not having any of it.
One thing I do want to note is look at the setup of this vertical stack. It's like side stack right in front of the disc. And I see this when I'm coaching sometimes, and I'm like, get into the middle of the field. There's like no lane there in front. Everybody's all in that same third. Maybe that's intentional. I'm going to eat my words here.
So what would you like to do?
I know. I've called fast counting you like 5 or 6 times because you count fast. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
What would you two like to do? Right, you can play it as a contest. You can bring it to me for ruling.
Contest.
Okay, so what was your count at?
I don't know, like 8, 7.
Okay, so contest comes in on 6.
Hey, it's coming on 6. Can I get it? Sure.
If fast count is being called multiple times in one stall count, it should be a violation, but the violation needs to be called here. Also, I think that this is another thing that observers can give cards for if it's the same person is repeatedly getting accepted for fast counting and not making that adjustment.
Well, and I think what we're seeing here is a clarification of the rule of when fast count is called, they should be dropping down.
Yes.
Drop down 2, and if not, drop to 0.
If that's what it was, then yes.
You're dropping down 2, but you're dropping down 1 number. Say stall 5, stall 6, fast count,
coming in, stalling 5. I think it was 4, fast count, coming in, stalling 5.
All right, stalling 5.
All right.
Sam Shapiro, the observer on that close side. Wally Kwong also here. Jana Hammaker, the head observer, and Steve Wong, Team Orange, for this contest. Mans finding DeSwan Aarons. Your D-up chance, your high release flick into a pile. And Charlie Harder is there. That is not how they drew it up.
Coach Kelsey and I have been talking about this all tournament long. When you see the disc go up, take a wide spot on it, because when people miss it, you'll just clap catch for the goal.
You know, my heart went up into my throat. We've already had some really intense, scary plays, that big of a crowd, but going up clean and then picking up the trash. I like it.
Another look at this. Definitely not the execution I think that we were looking for on this point, but you got smart receivers. There's actually 2 people on their team that were ready to be able to catch that one. But right now we are clean holds only in the second half. Both teams' offenses really dialed in, knowing the importance of each point. We have a Harder here with 3 goals, having one of the games of his life, no doubt.
Hey, they need that, because this is for all the marbles, the trophy at stake. DeVille Bodwin back out on the field, set to pull. Deswan Aaron's also crossing over along with Peter Mans, Nadav Melamed as well.
Check that pull, one of the best we've seen so far this game.
Mans on London this time. Fisherman Morin now working against Jory Dahl. Vincent Sullivan is on Farley downfield, the last in the stack.
I'm not sure if that was intended for Eichel or for Olsen, but Olsen scoops it up.
Impis needs something. Not a lot of players moving. He's going to have to throw a high stall. And good pressure from Middlebury. Rogers and Melamed were there.
Respect Farley on the outside. Had a chance to make a play, but it just dings too far out of reach.
One thing when you're in that high stall count, the last place, in my opinion, you should be throwing it is right at the stack. Locate somebody, point, throw it to a corner, give them a chance to run onto it.
You can't start. So stop it.
When can I start?
When he,
Yeah, but what's the signal for when I start?
I will point to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, but
I thought she said you were in, so that's why.
no. So
My bad.
So it'll be a check here at stalling 1.
Little bit of frustration from Mans. When there are multiple players getting frustrated, who's the common denominator?
LDB airing this one out. Deswan Aarons makes a catch, but out of bounds.
Such an important opportunity there for Middlebury. I know they're going to want that one back, but right now they're clearly feeling fired up. Can they make another defensive stop right now?
I also want to highlight the hustle from Impis to put pressure, because if he's not there, I think that Deswan Aarons has the ability to toe in, the awareness of where the sideline is. Instead, he's just focused on getting there.
Good effort from Bray. There was a high stall. London couldn't get free, and Olsen was locked up by LDB. Mans trying to find Rogers. Impis again, not getting the block, but just the presence.
This is where the chat and the sidelines go intimidate. But the hustle, I love the hustle. I love the heart. Looked open, but his speed closing the gap in the deep space.
Definitely one of my favorite players that I've learned about this weekend. I'm a believer. I'm such a fan.
Bringing you into the fan club. Let's go.
From the Washington area, so there you go, hometown Nationals. Seattle, Washington product. Eichel, Farley, chugging yards. And he'll speed in for the end zone.
And what a swing. Middlebury, 2 opportunities, 2 shots on goal, and instead, just like that, a dagger to the heart. Lewis and Clark opens it back up again. Leo Farley leading the charge here in the second half.
If you don't like hucks, if you don't like seeing 4, 5, 6 hucks in a single point, you don't know D3 College Men's Ultimate. Bring in the heat, bring in the excitement, bring in the highlights for us. You got it all here, folks.
That's a tough one. That feels like a lost opportunity for Middlebury. Take a look at these again. Multiple turnovers, the hustle from Impis, and going up against some of the prime athletes of this Middlebury team. You know, I liked that shot from Mans.
Was that not just the same clip twice? Tell me the difference.
Eichel's been a workhorse downfield, but he's the one who throws that dot to the end zone. Great catch there from Farley. 2 goals, 2 assists to his name right now.
Chef's kiss to that catch. Frame it, put it on the wall, Farley. You earned it.
Stahl was working against Hartle again, providing a lot of pressure. Now it's harder. 3 goals to his total. Now finding DeSwan Aarons. Stahl rising, going with the around. And a good mark from Ahlstrom and a high stall count results in that Middlebury turnover.
Almost what you talked about, Danny. Point, throw to space, but needed a second longer to actually execute. That felt extremely rushed.
Yeah, it needs to have a little bit more touch because that just died right in that corner. It was the receiver was in that right space. It was the right space to put it into. Just needs a little bit more love.
And maybe that's just a faster release because cutting from that shallow handler space, extremely successful. But getting stagnant back in the handler space and resets for Middlebury.
Great attempt from Melamed. Reminder, he does have a yellow card to his name, but he's still playing out there with some ferocious defense. Can Zwerin get there? Man's pressure. Foul's gonna be called. It's gonna be called at the throw. Mans thought it was gonna be on the receiver.
You can see the frustration some of these players' faces with the calls, with some of the decisions from their teammates. People really aware how big this moment is.
All right, let's wait for them to set up.
Come on, patience. Let's be patient.
Looks like we have a foul on the throw here.
Possession continues for LNC. Ahlstrom thought about hitting Zwerin, but instead it's a dump pass to Rivera.
Something I want to highlight, Theo. Mans with a lot of yards on him, looking a little gassed right now. Lewis and Clark has been doing a really good job of using their depth down this backstretch.
Bhatia finds Wagner for the break. It's a 3-goal lead now for Lewis and Clark, their largest of the contest.
Lewis and Clark just taking control of this game, leading the charge. Seemingly indefatigable. I've talked about how Middlebury just looking gassed and not able to play to their depth with LDB going out.
So we're going to take a little look at this little end zone set. If we pause here, we do have the mark was supposed to be forcing middle. In general, it's been forcing middle. We have a mark that's now forcing this way as well. They're running a bit more of a dominator set, so cutting from the front. And in a forced middle or where the mark is kind of maybe switching, even if it's accidental, a dominator can be quite useful because you can hit these kind of dink shots or these little breaks. You can roast people up line like this, and it's allowing for them to actually find a little bit more separation without those downfield defenders getting in the way.
You know, Danny, I think possibly that fatigue falling into play. It looks like the mark just falling off. I think Rice a little bit out of position there. Right now, Middlebury taking a timeout, trying to gather themselves. This is the final push. They have to answer or it will be too late.
The 3-headed monster coaching staff, Ben Whitenack, Jack Hochberg, and Sam Frainer, trying to continue to dial up that defensive pressure here as we see Middlebury on offense coming out. Good impassioned huddle from them.
Smiles, body posture, I like it.
One thing about Lewis and Clark is they were up like this in their semi against Carleton, and they did allow Carleton to come back. So they are not feeling comfortable. You're not going to see them put the foot off the gas pedal in these moments because they're a little bit spooked after what happened yesterday. They did obviously come out on top because they're in this final. They are playing extremely well right now, but they're not going to take the foot off the gas pedal until the game is done. They're going to finish the job.
Remember Hartle, who we're just getting a look at right now, grabbing some pickle juice. He was hurt in that matchup with Davenport. Sat out the rest of the game after getting hurt in the second half. Wagner, who just caught the score, gonna pull once again. LNC tightening the bench, of course. And Sam London from offense has crossed over. Farley as well for LNC, so really sensing blood in the water. Just go over to Hartle. Swan Aarons working against Ahlstrom, putting this one deep, looking for Gavin Rice. Left hand grab from Gavin Rice.
Coming out big for Middlebury. That is what they needed. That settles them, gets them fired up, and you see it. He's bringing the fire. Middlebury needs that hype. We've talked how they play from this place of passion, and Lewis and Clark has held all the cards so far this game.
And to answer back with a point like that for Middlebury, super important to keep this game within 2. That was a masterclass on boxing out and holding your position. We're going to see this throw, just enough outside in edge. We have the box out, the defender going up early. Absolutely no questions. Like, yes, a contested pass in theory, but there was no way that wasn't going to go Middlebury's way.
100%. Rice just feeding the flames of this Middlebury side. Their fire comes from their defense, but they haven't been able to generate the same pressure that they've been used to. They need to let those expectations go and just play the game at hand.
Standard offensive line. London and Farley had crossed over. They're back out on offense. Speaking of crossing over, Rice, who just made that grab, is on the field. Same thing with DeSwan Aarons. He's the one who threw that assist. Impus. Olsen, LDB on that matchup once again.
Good, Leo. Good, Leo. Leo, keep working.
Fisherman Moore needing a reset, finding Olsen. Olsen pointing deep for Eichel. Instead, it's an under to Farley. Offense looking a little bit slow and methodical here. Farley and Sullivan gonna have a discussion.
Continue the stall to 10.
Did you drop?
He did not drop.
But I'm stalling fairly. What?
No, you're not.
So-
I counted like 13 stalls.
So, you called
13 is
fast count.
definitely more than 10.
What was the stall count when that was?
6 or 7.
Okay.
Maybe generous there, but okay.
And then did you drop the count?
No.
Okay. And then you called fast count again?
And I called fast count, and then
Okay.
he continued to stall and said 10.
So if you did not stop.
So he can just say fast count if the stall is getting high. And
So no. So if you feel
I
it's
believe it
not
was
a fast
I
count,
feel it's not a fast count.
but you cannot continue to count. In order to test that, you need to call violation.
Sweet.
And so it's. Are we coming in a 1? Stalling 1.
How interesting that we're hitting this
Because you,
twice in a
multiple
final
fast counts
for
without
nationals.
dropping.
I mean, they're putting the fast and
I'm
fast
doing
count
one.
realistically. These are 7 minimum or maximum rather. So the thing with this is that if you don't drop, it's a violation. It needs to drop down to 0, but the players aren't calling violation. They're calling fast count more than once. So after you call it, and if they don't drop, they don't adjust, you need to call a violation that stops play. And yes, then it will reset the count. You do need to drop.
Watch this film back, y'all. And you know they will.
Yes. I mean, this is such a unique part of the sport, is the fact that all these players have to be accountable for knowing the rules. It is challenging, especially in these moments.
Farley putting this one, looking for London. Rogers, LDB in the area. LDB, providing good pressure on the backside.
The LBD. LDD.
LDBD.
Either way, coming up big with the help. That's their captain, fighting to give them a chance back into this Middlebury now with break opportunity.
D-up chance from the sideline. This is pretty important. They have yet to generate a break in the second half or have the pranksters. DeVille Bodwin finding Oscar DeSwan-Aarons. Thought about the break flick. But a reset.
A lot of chaos downfield.
Inside from Jory Dahl, opening things up. Rogers will make the grab, and it's a break for the pranksters.
That is huge. Feed the Flames, LDB. Middlebury's back in it within one.
A very timely break. To have Lewis and Clark go hold break and then Middlebury respond with a hold break of their own keeps them in this game, keeps momentum on their side. They're hyped up, they're pumped up, they got to keep pushing. You hear the "Let's go boys, do it again" cheers. I'd be bringing them water, I'd be bringing them Gatorade, I'd be bringing them candy, a massage, whatever they need to do to keep these players on the field. Speaking of keeping on the field, a little LDB action, getting ready to pull. It is so nice to see him actually be able to play this final game.
Difference maker. Remember, what do we call, come for me chat, like I need some support here. What do you call it when you get the D and then the assist? It's not bookends, what are we?
There needs to be a new name for it.
I want it. Give me a name for it. Because we've seen it and it's invaluable.
Book segments?
No.
It's at the end.
Make
Book
it spicier.
fragments?
Make
Bookmarks,
it spicier.
Bookmarks.
Ooh. Maybe, let's go. Either way, coming up big, Middlebury ride the hype, but are they expending too much gas from their top players here, trying to fight their way in? Will they tie and then Lewis and Clark just close like they did against Carleton?
Gavin Rice has crossed over, same thing with Peter Mans. Swearin gonna have to catch that one as there was a pick called. Swearin out on offense, and so is Farley.
You feel the urgency, but 18 minutes still on the clock.
Wagner also out there, been the main puller for this LNC side.
One thing I would like to maybe see either of these teams experiment with a little bit is not having a reset. This forced middle and the defender kind of sloughing off into the lanes is preventing a lot of these downfield cutters from being able to get these kind of easy unders into the soft break side. If you do like a 1 and 6 or 6 and 1, that will allow cutters to be able to hit those spaces without that defender being in the way.
100%, Danny. We talked about this before the broadcast, and it's true.
Farley finding Zwerin. Zwerin being more in the backfield right now on this offensive set. Middlebury's first break of the game just came on the last point. The last time they had a break was to make it 6-6. After that, LNC got 2 straight points, including a break to take half. Catch by Ahlstrom, sealing the deal there. Wagner can't survive the ground contact.
I like that safe option of jumping the lane, threatening the presence, but avoiding contact. Best lane flash we've seen so far.
And you know he can put it out deep. Has it now, finding DeVille Bodwin. This D-line offense out on the move. Great cut from LDB. Trying to finish it, and he throws it to DeSwan-Aarons, and we have a tie game.
We have a tie game, and the sidelines are up. There are cheers, there are boos. Players on their feet. You see the Middlebury women's team electrified. They've earned it back. Take a breath. And Lewis and Clark calls a timeout right now. To me, when Middlebury's top players are the most gassed, would you do that, Danny?
I might, but we're gonna take a timeout here anyways.
Come here, come a little closer. afraid, no, I don't wanna hurt you. Little more come in, let me just show you. Don't know, can't talk, let me just show you. Don't be obsessive, it could be intensive, it could be explosive, it could be offensive. Don't be defensive, don't be aggressive, it will be a race, cause it could be expensive. Don't be obsessive, it could be intensive, it could be explosive, it could be offensive. Don't be defensive, don't be.
What a battle we have here in the men's final. Lewis and Clark tied up with Middlebury. Middlebury's had 3 straight points, 2 breaks. Bacchus calling a timeout right now, trying to settle things down. Middlebury hunting for their 4th straight point.
I want to acknowledge Deshaun Aarons on that last point, because not only was he able to collect the score, but he was instrumental in the turnover that happened. He was able to recognize that play was coming, left his check, kind of stayed in that lane for a second, still made a safe play, didn't actually go in to get the block, but got the Phantom D, or what do you call it, the Ghost D? I say Phantom D. Does that make sense to you all? You're from the East, both of you, so I don't know if it's the same thing, but spooked them, got the turn, and then got the score.
I'm from the East, Diddy?
I don't know American geography. I don't go here, okay?
I mean, Tennessee is home, but sure. Minnesota's close enough.
Another power offensive line here for this Bacchus side. So Aaron finding London. Rogers continues to be on that matchup. Things have definitely cooled down between the two after some fireworks in the first half.
Love that shot out to space from Farley, just coasting, and London knows to look for it.
Wagner taking on Di Lorenzo will go out with the right hand.
London is lucky, Wagner is so lanky.
Wagner needs something with the high stall. Impus trying to go into the front cone, and will do so.
The playmaker strikes again. It looked like it was gonna be a stall, but instead Impus makes something of it. Quick feet hopping into the small space. The little man is back.
Lewis and Clark settling down now, getting that necessary hold. They've been here before. They've been with that lead before. They've let the team come back in, and they said, no, thank you. We're going to finish this one out, and they're bringing that energy right now.
You know, for that, I like that Middlebury created some pressure. What they need to do now, though, is hold and hold quickly. They need to make it clean, get their D back out here. They don't want to get into a slog. To me, that favors. And look at that Impus stat line.
So much more than the goals and the assists. Seems to be an emotional leader for this team. Just hyped up, even though not as many blocks as it feels like should be on his stat line, because they had so many of those deep pressure Ds that didn't necessarily get a touch on. So those stats only paint a small picture of the impact that he's been able to have on this game.
This pull gonna trail out of bounds, allowing the defense to set up, but so does the offense. So I know some coaches in the booth might not like the out of bounds pulls, but I'm not gonna say who.
Roller pulls versus just straight up out. Practice your pulls. It's like such an easy, instant advantage. But Theo, you know me.
I know your opinion about it.
Again, that reset defender getting in the way there.
Rice looking deep for Mans. Two-hand strong. We're tied up once again.
The execution of that, putting up high, yes, but out in front, where Zwerin can't make a play. We've been watching that matchup all game long. Peter Mans rising to the occasion for the team and executing exactly what we hoped for. A quick hold, get the defense back out there.
get that defense, who is largely a lot of your offense, back out there. What I love about this throw, it's an extra little bit of a breath and then just put out into space. It didn't feel rushed. The whole throw had a nice motion to it, and it allowed for man to be able to read it really well.
Big effort, big run there from Mans. A little bit of credit to Rice too, moving the mark, giving himself the full swing, lots of movement and poise, not rushed in the slightest. Pressure now back to Lewis and Clark, and check that stat line. 4 assists for Mans, but the blocks, I think maybe the biggest part of that, the emotional energy when the team needed it.
I know I was hoping to the ulti gods that we would have a close game. I didn't want this game to get run away on one way or the other. I just wanted a tight sports match for all the sports fans watching IRL and at home.
There's a lot of fans in real life right now bringing the energy and what is an awesome atmosphere for these players, for the coaches, for everyone involved. Great cut there from Sam London. Finding Impus. Impus has Farley. We'll look for him. Will it stay in bounds? Crashing into the sign as well.
No one looks like they're sure.
Wally Kwong and Sam Shapiro, the observers on that side. See a photographer as well, trying to give some.
Oh my God.
I can't believe it. I'm astounded. The incredible effort, and it happened so fast. None of us were sure. Wow. And not just the score, but the manner in which it was scored. Huge for Lewis and Clark Bacchus.
Don Colton-esque towing of the line in a big moment.
One more time.
Incredible.
Incredible. Do we agree with that? I don't think he had possession until his toes had already gone past the line. Look at this in slow-mo.
Toes on the line there. Catch. Yep. I think that looks great.
What a call. Once again, offside. I'm glad I'm not an observer.
I mean, to me, that looks in.
Wow.
How they made that call without having the benefit of seeing it 7 times on a slow-mo from the booth, I don't understand. And the observers know that pressure of them making that call in that moment has huge implications on the game.
Massive props to Sam Shapiro and Wally, our observers. They're making that intense call and in real time. Game point here for Lewis and Clark. Will they do it on defense like they did just last round in the semifinals against Carleton?
That was a break to win. They're trying to do the same right now. Farley's out on the field. It's Wagner on the pole. Ahlstrom. Sam London is out there. So is Zwerin and Batia. The last one on the line is Levi Stahl, number 14 in white. Offside's called, so Hartle will walk it up to Middlebury's brick mark. Initiate the offense with Mans. Mans looking for Charlie Harder. Can he tow it in? It's going to be out of bounds.
That one's a bit more clear than the last one.
Sometimes the energy in a moment, you can see Farley taking deep breaths. Big things, big moments, you have to calm. Breathe through, that was close. But now, Lewis and Clark with the chance to take it for game.
Bacchus's best finish was 3rd in 2016. Already improved on that with a spot here in the final, but they're hunting for more. A chance to break for their first ever championship in program history. London airing this one out for Stahl. Hartle gets the block.
Wagner with footsteps, but couldn't close the gap and save that one. Lewis and Clark has come up with circus saves like that before, but opportunity here for Middlebury.
London trying to put pressure on Mans. DeSwan Aarons needs a reset. Finds Gavin Rice. A little bit of a nudge from Zwerin there on the mark. Mans big under gainer. Harder is there, and we have universe point.
This time it'll go, and it's so interesting to me, Zwerin taking the Rice matchup, London on Mans, and Mans just shakes free, gets the shot he wants, wins he wants it, no fear, no red light, goes again, universe, baby, let's go!
D3 College Nationals is all about the green light, baby, and I'm living for it. These players have no fear, no fear. You normally see players get all like tight in these moments and they want to make the for sure pass and then they maybe turn over on a reset, but nope, they're full yeet.
Hartle coming up huge on that D. This shot to space Farley. Footsteps, but couldn't close it. And I'll credit to Cutler for sealing out the defense too in that moment.
That first throw, they were looking for Harder on that possession, out of bounds. That one's successful.
Hey, squeeze each other. Here, here. Beautiful love. Nothing but here. All yours, man, about love. All year long. That's how we work for all season, Bill. Let's go.
Should we do that in the booth, y'all? Little kiss action.
I love it. Endorphins, positive endorphins.
Exactly.
Know your chemistry, y'all. This is physiology. Double ice. First one timeout, now another. Middlebury calls timeout.
I mean, if you got them.
40 chess.
Want 'em.
Yeah. Everyone's just looking like they're trying to settle into the moment. They're just trying to enjoy the moment. Whenever I am coaching and it's a universe point, or I'm playing and it's a universe point, I try to tell my players or my teammates that this is a privilege. Regardless of what happens, let's not change how we're playing. Let's just enjoy this moment.
Wagner, London, Olsen, Impus, Bray, Zwerin, and Farley are going to be the 7 that come out for Lewis and Clark on this offensive point.
Hearing a little bit from the alumni in our chat, apparently that kiss circle is a tradition of this Middlebury team. Pranksters have been around for a long time. They have one of the most robust and proud alumni in D3 history, and a lot of them out in force. You can see the sidelines. You could feel the energy. It doesn't get better than this. Universe D3 Nationals.
DeSwan Aarons, Dahl, Sullivan, Mans, Melamed, Duville Bodwin, and Rogers are the 7 on the field. A little bit surprised maybe to not see Gavin Rice out there. I've seen him cross over a few points, but that's the line they've called, and they're trying to win another national championship.
You know, and Theo, sometimes it's a call of, are you 100% ready to go? Do you have the gas in the tank? And if you're not, that can be incredible leadership to say, no, put someone else in. Who's ready to go? Who wants it?
It's going to be Jory Dahl on Zwerin right now. And Mans on London. Looking for Zwerin. Can he get there? He does!
Oh my gosh.
For the first time in program history, Lewis and Clark are national champions.
And who else in this big moment? The poise and casualness Zwerin full throttle ahead, almost lost his feet, but keeps them, and the elation. They will never forget this moment.
Such incredible reset defense by Middlebury there to force this play. But if you do see this receiver going deep, you trust. You absolutely trust, time and time again, that has worked for them. And it worked for them in the biggest moment of their entire season.
What an effort from Jory Dahl and the rest of this Middlebury side. What a battle they put up, down 8-6 at half, able to fight back in the second. And this game decided just by one. The thinnest of margins. Impus throwing what looked like perhaps a high stall throw, finding Zwerin for the game winner.
It happened so fast. But this part lasts forever. They are the winners. They enter the tunnel and they emerge victorious.
They say small ball is dead. Long live long ball. Long live D3 Men's College Ultimate Universe Point Finals.
You know, I'm going to take this moment. Shout out Middlebury. This was an incredible game. One that I will remember for a long time. They fought their hardest. They fought through adversity. But in the moment, Lewis and Clark were the best team. They were the team that had the game. They peaked at the right time. They played together. They played with heart. What an incredible win.
Portland versus the rest of the world. Portland on top again. They're feeling it.
So much emotion, so many hugs. Hoping these athletes can remember this for the rest of their lives. Be really present, really present.
Leo Farley can't believe it. And it probably feels surreal. Is it sinking in yet? Bit of Minnesota on Minnesota love there between Jonas Bray and Farley.
Joined here by the one who threw the winning score, Orlando Impus. First of all, congratulations on the win.
Thank you so much.
The final deep shot, what were you seeing out there? Tell us.
I was seeing my friend. I was seeing one of the greatest athletes I know running deep. I looked in his eyes. I knew he wanted it. I had to put it on a platter. I had to put it out. He's so fast. He's so amazing. I knew he could do it. I felt it in that moment. I felt a string. I felt a string between us, and I knew I could hit that.
Orlando, we talked prior to this game about the work that you've put in, the grind to get to this moment. You take nothing for granted. How does it feel, the payoff right now?
It feels so amazing. It feels the best feeling I've ever had. I have worked so long, so hard for this. We have worked together to do this, to build this.
All right, you have some new fans here in the broadcast booth.
Yes.
I didn't know a lot about your team, but you specifically have really stood out to me as somebody who's the heart of this team. Can you talk through a little bit about like how you personally get yourself hyped for these games? Because you made some incredible deep blocks.
Yeah, that is a great question. I mean, it's practice. Our coaches talk about we are on the same 70 by 40 yard field. We are out here. It's the same as in practice. We grind against each other and we become sharper and we become better.
Last question for you, Lando.
Yes.
Talk to the Bacchus fans at home. What do you got to say to them?
We did it! Let's go! Let's go! Thank you.
There you have it. Lewis and Clark Bacchus, national champions. Amazing stuff from this team. The emotions riding high. They have won a national championship for the first time ever.
What an incredible moment, Theo. So much energy. What an incredible finish. We had the fans. We had the teams, the athleticism, the big plays. This was the moment.
Now, if you have never been to D3 Nationals, you need to make it here, all right? Next year, book a flight. This is the best entertainment you can expect. Big plays, big emotion. D3 Nationals has it all.
That was a huge call by the observers, ruling that one in by Farley. That was a big play to make it 14-13. And then this final deep shot, Impus. This just sailing on the wing of Angels, finding Max Zwerin for the score, giving Bacchus their first national championship ever as they defeat Middlebury 15-14.